My fellow Americans, today you may be waiting for the highly anticipated Epstein client list to be released. So while I know you may see what appears to be my name on the list, I'd like to argue that I did not have sexual relations with those children on that island. Would it even count, though? It wasn't in the United States. Also, if you add up their ages, I'm sure it was above 18. Jeff told me since it was outside of the jurisdiction.
Bill, what the hell are you doing?
No, Hillary, I'm not confessing.
You idiot. Do I always have to clean up your mess?
What are you doing? What? No, wait. Please don't hurt the cameraman. He had nothing to do with this. No, Hillary, that was my friend. He wasn't.
Welcome back to Right Power, where we stand on the right side of common sense in a world of left-wing outrage. Today's outrage, the Epstein files. There's an old adage, be careful what you wish for. You might just get it.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over.
So let's take a stroll down Hypocrisy Lane, that magical place where every Democrat suddenly pretends to care about Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, they're demanding the files, clutching their pearls, and acting shocked, I tells ya, to discover corruption in high places. Meanwhile, for 20 years, those same people were cashing Epstein's checks, flying on his planes, and threatening magazines not to print the story. They weren't exposing him, oh no, they were networking. And at the center of it all, America's favorite saxophone enthusiast, Slick Willie himself. You remember Bill Clinton, the man who swore he never had relations, but somehow always found himself looking for love in all the wrong places. Conveniently without witnesses, but with plenty of flight logs.
I did not have sex on that island.
Yeah, that guy. The one Vanity Fair wouldn't touch because he personally walked into their office and told them not to. Because, apparently, powerful friends are more sacred than victims.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Amy Robach had the whole story. The names, the evidence, the witnesses. And the network killed it. Not because it wasn't true, but because it was inconvenient. Bill Clinton's name was sitting in that file like a live grenade, and every newsroom in America said, best not to pull the pin. We've got emails showing Clinton personally threatened Vanity Fair to stop them from printing Epstein's trafficking story. Because when you're a Democrat, you cry, believe all women, while silencing them and the press. And now, He's officially John Doe 36, mentioned over 50 times in the court filings. But sure, keep pretending it was just a few plane rides. There he is, smiling on the Africa trip. Massage from an Epstein victim. Private jet. Humanitarian photo ops. Sounds like a great gig, if not for all the sexual assault.
Senator Schumer, Senator Feinstein, Senator Durbin, who back in 1999 completely refused to read my deposition with the independent counsel. Henry Hyde said, just please read her deposition. We're not going to bring this woman to the hearing, but you need to know that you may have a rapist in the president's office. This may be possible. Not one Democrat would read my deposition about the horrific event that I went through.
For 20 years, the media called it a conspiracy. Turns out the only conspiracy was the cover-up. And now, the same people who protected him want to lead the charge for transparency. That's not justice. That's theater for low IQ attendees.
Jeffries, I guess on the Epstein files, which still have not been released, on a personal note, how does it feel to work with so many grown adults who have been obstructing the release of these Epstein files and, in effect, protecting pedophiles?
Well, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. For weeks now. She was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And yet week after week after week have gone by and Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run by Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
So let's get this straight. Hakeem Sombrero Jeffries actually stood on live television and accused Republicans of running a pedophile protection program. A pedophile protection program. This is the same dollar store Obama, Mr. Brooklyn's Barack himself, whose own campaign network was inviting Jeffrey Epstein to a Democrat fundraising dinner with Barack Obama. The email literally says, "Come get to know Hakeem." Oh, he got to know him all right through the dynamic SRG donor circuit. And now he wants to lecture anyone else about protecting predators? He cries pedophile protection program while running a disgusting Democrat donor department. A Democrat's elevator of depravity has no bottom floor. If you're enjoying the content, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and give me a like. I'd really appreciate it.
And there's a lot of drama still unfolding. The Epstein saga hasn't been without controversy for Democrats as well. The House last night narrowly rejected a Republican effort to censure our next guest, Democratic Delegate Stacey Plaskett, over a text she exchanged with Epstein during a 2019 congressional hearing with President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen. Joining us right now, you're a delegate, a non-voting delegate right now. Tell us a little bit about your reaction to all these late developments.
Well, first I want to thank the Democrats, the Democratic caucus, not only for voting with me, but for speaking on my behalf during the general debate, as well as those members in the Republican Party who voted with the Democrats and those who tacitly voted with us by either voting present or not voting at all during the censure. And I'm hopeful that we can now get back to the work that we do in Congress rather than the political theater that has been happening. The files have been released, which I have been in favor of all along. And let's let the victims get their justice and let us get to the work of Congress.
What was your relationship with Epstein?
So Jeffrey Epstein was a constituent. He was a resident of the Virgin Islands, lived there, I guess, more than half of the year because he was registered there. I had received donations from him after the last investigation came out, which was after this texting. I gave any donations that I had previously received from him to women's organizations and did not have any contact with him. You glean information, get information where you can. Some of it is relevant, some of it is not, and you put it all together and you ask the questions.
And I understand you're saying, look, he was a constituent, right? And whether or not they're good or bad, you're just trying to get information to get to the truth. But at this time, this was happening after he had already pleaded guilty to state prostitution charges. And then there was that Miami Herald article that came out in 2018 detailing how widespread the sexual abuse was, interviewing 80 women who said that he sexually abused her. So, abused them, I should say. So I'm wondering, as you look back, do you think that it was an error in judgment to be communicating with him at all? Do you have any regrets?
Well, listen, I think Jeffrey Epstein is a reprehensible person. Absolutely disgusting.
Wait, let me just better understand that. What is that point? Because at the time he was a known sex offender and it had been detailed all the sexual abuse.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes, and as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can. I've interviewed confidential informants. I've interviewed narcotics, drug traffickers, and others. And that doesn't mean that I'm their friend. That doesn't mean that they are friendly with me. It means that they have information that I need and that I'm trying to get at the truth, and that's what I did.
So no regrets, basically, is what you're saying.
I'm moving forward.
Let's dissect this a little bit. So Stacey Plaskett admits she got donations from Jeffrey Epstein before 2019, which means she was taking money from a convicted sex offender whose 2008 case was public record. But don't worry, she gave it back after the last investigation came out. Oh, you mean the 2019 federal arrest in July, 11 years after the conviction? Yeah, real prompt there, Plaskett. She was still texting him in early 2019, months before that arrest. So the "I didn't know until the last investigation" defense, it collapses faster than Epstein's alibi. And then she compares herself to a prosecutor. Sweetheart, you weren't cross-examining a witness under oath. You were accepting campaign money and chatting with a registered offender in your own district. Epstein was convicted in 2008. Stacey Plaskett texted him in 2019. And somehow the donations only became a problem after his second arrest. Make it make sense.
Democrats really don't care about those Epstein files or the victims. They just want to know if Donald Trump in there. That's it. They done passed over Bill Clinton's name so many times, they just look for Donald Trump.
Exactly. The Democrats never cared about victims or justice. It was only about getting Trump. They wanted to point fingers while praying they'd never be exposed for the hypocrites they are. But if you're on the right side of common sense, it's not hard to see through the BS. Like, share, subscribe.